Well, these readings are not the easiest ones to preach, especially after you came back from vacation and you still are suffering from jet lag and you're not sure which time zone you are in. We have the picture of Jeremiah in a cistern. They're trying to kill him in the first reading. And then Jesus talks about divisions within family. What are those readings all about? What is the message of all those readings? Well, let's try to look at them from this perspective. Now, have you ever found yourself in a situation like this? Someone you know said something in a group of people, something that you truly thought was wrong. And in your own heart of hearts, you felt, this is not right. It's just not right to say something like this. That's the way you're thinking. Now you want to say something, but you also do not want to rock the boat. And you're not sure whether your opinion will be accepted or rejected. You don't know what they will be thinking about you, whether you will be ridiculed or applauded. So you do what we all have done in this kind of situation. You keep silent. And you say to yourself, it's better not to say anything. You want to keep peace. And you do not want to cause divisions. Now, we all have been in those kind of situations. I know I have been in those kind of situations. You see, standing for the truth, standing for what is right, is not always easy. And Jeremiah knew that as he was stuck in that cistern in the mud. And Jesus knew that as he was facing divisions. Standing for the truth and what is right can be challenging and difficult. Jesus in the gospel reading, and again Jeremiah in the first reading, find themselves in this kind of situation. And this is what the princes are saying to the king about Jeremiah. Jeremiah ought to be put to death. He is demoralizing the soldiers who are left in the city and all the people by speaking such things to them. He's not interested in the welfare of the people, but in their ruin. So you see, the princes do not like what Jeremiah had to say. His words are rocking the boat. He's speaking the truth. And Jeremiah is about to pay the price for that, for what he thinks, for what he says, and for what he does. At least it looks like he is. Now, Jesus again finds himself in a similar situation, and he knows that his words and his message will cause division. Some people will like it, and some will not. And he will too have to pay the price. And as he continues to speak, eventually he does pay the price. You know the story on the cross. And we read in the Gospel of Luke today, Jesus is very much mindful of that as he's on this journey to Jerusalem. Jesus says to his disciples, I have come to set the earth on fire, and how I wish it were already blazing. Which is to say, I wish that the world was being transformed, the entire world. And there is baptism with which I must be baptized. And how anguished I am until it is accomplished. Jesus knows it's going to get him into trouble. And then he says, do you think that I have come to establish peace on the earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. So again, as Jesus is on his journey, he knows his message will cause division. Some will like it and accept it, some will not. Now, it already has been the case, actually. Do you remember the beginning of the journey of Jesus? Jesus starts in Nazareth, in his hometown. He goes to a synagogue where his brothers and sisters and cousins and friends gather with him. He opens the book of Isaiah in that synagogue of Nazareth where he grew up. He reads from Isaiah. He speaks about what he read. Some people are amazed and some people are angry. And they drag Jesus out of the synagogue. They want to throw him off the cliff. But Luke tells us Jesus turned around and passed through them. So that the vision has already been there. Now, it would be nice if people always agreed with you. Don't you agree? It would be wonderful. It would be great if people always agreed with me. If people always agreed with us. But maybe the message of those readings today is people don't. And maybe that's what we need to be reminded about. As it was the case with Jeremiah, as it was the case with Jesus. And Jesus knew that. Jeremiah knew that. And sometimes we pay the price for speaking the truth, and the price may be small, and sometimes the price may be big. Think of people like Martin Luther King Jr. or Oscar Romero in El Salvador, and many other people who gave their lives for speaking the truth and preaching the gospel. Jesus himself had already realized that even though he came to preach the gospel of peace, love, and justice, some people did not like what he had to say. And they did not appreciate his message. So as he gets closer to Jerusalem, he knows that people are angry. He knows and he realizes that the opposition is growing. He knows and he realizes that the possibility of being arrested and put to death is more real. But notice in all of this, and maybe that's another lesson for all of us from these readings. Jesus and Jeremiah never sought approval from all people at all cost. Approval at all cost was not the issue. They spoke the truth because it was the truth, and what people thought about it was secondary. See, Jesus came to light the candle in the darkness. Jesus was the light in the darkness, as we heard in that opening song, even when the darkness disagreed with him. Just think about that image. Jesus was the light in the darkness, even when the darkness disagreed with him. Every so often we too find ourselves in situations when our faith, our conscience, our moral compass will challenge us to speak the truth. Sometimes it's not easy. There's a good chance people may not like what you have to say. It may be your friend, your coworker, a family member, a stranger. In situations like this, it is easy and tempting to stay silent. I may say to myself, why bother? It's not going to change anything. It's not even worth trying. Or I better keep peace at all costs. Why rock the boat? How are we to follow Christ and his message in this and those kind of situations? Should I stay silent? Should I speak up? Well, you and I, we have to figure it out at the moment. But I would like to give you in conclusion these 4 simple suggestions that may be helpful. I'm not going to elaborate on them, just mention them, okay? So the first one, when you find yourself in that kind of situation, ask for God's help, the way the psalmist did in today's psalm. Lord, come to my aid. Ask for wisdom, what to do and how to do it. Don't just rely on yourself. Number 2, it's all about timing. Jesus was perfect when it came to timing. He knew what to say, when to say it, and how to say it. And sometimes he would wait for the right opportunity. So you may want to wait and approach your friend at some other time when you and he or she are alone and not in front of everybody else. Timing is everything. Number 3, try to understand where the other person is coming from without judgment. It means listen first before you speak up. And again, Jesus was a master at that. Remember those situations where he would say, what do you think about that? And he then would listen and then engage in conversation. The story of Good Samaritan is a perfect example of that. And number 4, always disagree with others with love, respect, and kindness. And sometimes, if you have that gift, with some humor. Jesus, again, had a wonderful sense of humor, and we see it all over the place, especially when he found himself in difficult situations.